Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Hope you guys are doing well. We have had a powerful week. We just finished the 5-day program for 2020 and we had over 400 people from all around the world really tuned in, committed like a family. Still stuff is going on, people are still coming into a full realization of who they are in Christ, and at least a little more than they've had before. I wish we all have the full picture. I too am just realizing and growing in the full picture of who Christ called me to be. So as I grow, I'd like to take you on our journey, Fiona and my journey, as we grow to get to know really who Christ is and what does it mean to have the creator of heaven and earth living inside his temple. What does that look like? You know, that's the adventure. That's what we are waiting to experience. The hope in us is wanting to experience this more and more and more. You know, and so that's the purpose of our life: experiencing God, being able to manifest Him completely, releasing His glory out of this holy temple. What does that look like if Christians could really understand this and be able to live that life that God has called us to live? And so we all work in progress, experiments, operations of this glory, and I think enjoying every moment and every minute of it, no matter what it is. Okay, so if you guys have been on a 5-day program, you will be really tuned into this message. I think I'm going to maybe do this for the next couple of I don't know how long. Next Tuesday, Transcend meetings, we're going to have a couple of these sessions, okay? And we don't know what I'm going to call it, but it's going to be something to do with rest, something to do with contemplation, something to do with a meditative life, something to do with the Sabbath, okay? And why? You have to ask the question. You know, we miss this so much in the whole Bible. The Bible is full of it. Wherever you turn, you get it. It is, you know, I used to always say the Bible should be called, like Prophet Kobe said, the Bible should be called the book of life. Yeah. Sorry, that's my mother-in-law. Yeah, I think we all of you got one, so you know what I'm talking about. I always said, the Bible is called the book of life. You know, it should be called the book of life because that's what God is giving to us, life. But if you understand that a lot of people today, they're not really living, are they? They're truly the walking dead. They don't know how to allow this life, because this life, according to Paul, says, he literally says, I am crucified. So the ego and the self is crucified. It is no longer I who is life now. It is Christ who lives inside of me. What does it look like to allow the Christ to live fully inside of you? And it surely means that the self or the ego is dead, and then the ego is dead and the Christ lives. So, I mean, what does it look like to not be busy with meddling with what God is doing through you and through the world? What does that look like? That is a powerful, sequential, sympathetic, synchronized life. That's what it is, and it's a flow. You know, it's a continuous state of flow. So if you understand that, but we have to get out of the way. We means the flesh man, the one who thinks he's in control, the one who is in the world, the one who has his likes and his dislikes, his patterns, his cycles, his models. You know, that the flesh. You know what I'm talking about. And unfortunately, Christianity has not presented it in such a powerful way. They still have what we call one foot in the world and one foot in the spirit. But when we say one foot in the world, people think, oh, I've stopped drinking and smoking, so that's the one foot in the world. No, if you are still in the natural and have anything to do with natural, you are in a self-centered world. That means it's not God-centered, it's not Christ-centered, it's self-centered. It doesn't mean that you're carnal in having sex and drugs and rock and roll. You might as well, because anything natural is just natural. The natural man is natural, you know, and the spiritual man is spiritual. So Christ offers the death for the natural man. He doesn't offer death to the sinful man. The word sin has just completely been misunderstood and misinterpreted. he offers the death to the natural man. And if the natural man dies, guess what? Just it's by ease and grace the spiritual man arises. But for that, the natural man, which is the flesh, needs to die. So we're going to go into it. And why have we not seen that more than in Hinduism, more than in Buddhism, more than in the New Age world, more than in any philosophy, in this book, surrender is the foremost thing. Surrender means the death of the ego. Surrender is the foremost thing from beginning to end. Sabbath is a serious part of the Bible. Sabbath means that you now rest. And that's not just resting from work. When I was in the Pentecostal charismatic move, I had factories and we say, oh, we stop working on the factory. No, but your mind is still at work. Your flesh is at work. It doesn't matter what you're doing externally. This is all to do with the heart and with the mind. So a lot of people are stopping their work from outside. Oh, we don't work on a Sabbath and all that. But your mind is going at 80,000 words per minute. So there is no rest. It's a hypocrisy. And the key is to be able to rest at any time given, to enter into Christ and just rest. And that rest is what God is calling you to do. And that rest is supposed to be holy and sanctified. And you'll realize, I can tell you one thing, I've realized in my life, the more I just rest, the more I have no thoughts of anything. Take no thought of what you're going to eat, drink, or wear. The more I don't think about those things, those natural things, the more I just rest. I cease from my works. That's just like God has ceased from his works. The more I get into that type of rest, I've seen that creation again explodes into a new season. Okay, you need a rest to get into a new season. You can never get into a new season without rest. The way God has created you is to rest. If you understand that when you go into sleep tonight, as you go into your day, you'll realize that you will sleep, and that sleep has been ordained by God. It's a cyclic pattern. It's called a circadian rhythm, and it is in that sleep that the whole body is recreated. The whole body is recreated. The DNA damage is corrected. Is true rest, and you cannot sleep if your mind is racing. People call it insomnia, different things today, but it all happens in the mind of man. The carnal mind has so many thousands of sayings, so many identities that people don't know to rest. But God ordained rest as a season, as a time. It's the Sabbath, and he said, sanctify this day and keep this day holy. Okay, and so I'm just going to present to you in the next couple of seasons. On Tuesdays, on Sundays, we're talking about things you never heard about Christmas. On Tuesdays, we're going to understand what the Sabbath rest means to the people of God. Why this day is holy, sanctified, and hallowed. The word he uses for rest, that means for you to be able to enter into those meditations that I've given you. Some of you have seen the meditation site I've launched. I've launched a site called Practical Meditation. For you to be able to do that, he calls that hallowed. He says that is hallowed when you actually be able to do that. And something is changing and shifting, and you're entering into the order of creation. The order of creation. Just understand that. And we're going to go into it. It's going to be very mystical, and I'm going to bring it together. But you see, Jesus himself says it like this. And this is not a weak, sympathetic, lethargic gesture or welcoming people into some sort of Christian religious experience here. Listen carefully, and then you'll understand what he's talking about. You must understand when he's asking people to come into this rest, he is talking to Jews who have been slaves. They really understood what works was about. They understood what toil was about. They understood the type of labor and toil and the sweat of your brow and the anxiety and all that kind of stuff. Working for a slave master. They've understood what a slave master is. They understood the accusation. They understood the performance mentality of slave masters that they had worked for. And they themselves, when they went up a mountain, if you missed this, go and watch my series on Moses and the mirror. And when Moses came down the mountain, what he got was a mirror. It was a stone that showed his natural face. Moses was a slave master. And therefore, because he was slave master and slave, the people were asked to now understand that that whole system of slave and slave master must go. The whole system of slave and slave master. Remember, Moses was a pharaoh. Okay, now he comes down again with the law, and if you understand the full concept, is God wants the whole law, the whole system of Moses, the slave and the slave master, to go. Good slaves become excellent slave masters. Just get that. Good slaves become excellent slave masters. When I first started ministry, I used to watch people, and the Lord brought me into grace. I was a proper slave master like Paul, you know. I understood how to control people, manipulate people, order people around, get them to do what I want, accuse them, and judge them. I knew what that looked like. And because I knew what I looked like, my life was successful. I was excellent at what I did. Things were moving very, very fast. Till I came into a point in my life that I saw myself in the mirror. That means the same seeds, check this out, that I was sowing started coming back to me so fast, pressed down, shaken together, running over, that I started entering into the work that I have now ordained myself to be. I was excellent at what I did. I did not allow anyone to move 1 inch without me noticing it and correcting it. That same system started crashing upon me, and I was falling short of the very standards I've set on myself. The Bible says it like this, continuously from the beginning to end. He says, the same judgment I judge someone else will be judged according to me. The same spoon of judgment I serve, I will get that back, pressed down, shaken together, running over. This is the same thing he told Pharaoh. He said, Pharaoh, I want you to understand, who is this God who is calling me? I am you. I am you. That's the great I am. He says, the mirror that you're mirroring me now, you taken my son, you put him into bondage, you accuse him, and now you have driven him to performance and work. I will do the same for you. And so therefore the mirror image, God came as a Jehovah God, or the word Jehovah is not really there in the Bible, the Yod-Heh, Waw-Heh, the I am God, the mirror image, the God of the mirror image, that's the one we worship. Who our heart is what now we start producing for ourselves. And so I found myself now in this huge dichotomy I'd created, that I was now running at the pace I've set the wheel to. And I realized that I was the hamster in now this huge cogwheel that I'm rolling. And I realized that I couldn't run fast enough because I've set my standards so high. And my life came crumbling down. And when that happened, I realized that the whole system needs to go. I can't just expect me to receive grace if I was still a slave master. And so once I understood that, that is who Jesus is talking to. He's talking to people to say, hey, when he gives the 10 commandments, understand, he says, just understand, I've taken you out of the bondage of Egypt. And now he expects Israel to be a nation of grace. And he says, I have wanted mercy and not this sacrifice. That is who I am. But you guys are still caught in slavery. You're caught in bondage. So because of that, I've given you back Pharaoh. And he gives them back Moses. Yes, that's in the Bible. Okay, they give him back a mirror image. They said, we don't want to go up the mountain and meet this God because his words are going to touch our heart, transform us. But we want to live in the pattern and the cycles of the world. And so he gives them back the patterns and cycles of the world. And in Christ, we return to God, the Father and the Son. But there's mercy and grace more than anything else. And what we sow, we reap. Now watch this. And so he says, Jesus is telling this, okay? And at that time, Jesus answered and said, I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. See, he's talking of Father, that you have hidden these things from the wise and prudent and have revealed them to babes. Whoa. Even so, Father, and so it seemed good in your sight. All things have been delivered to me by my Father. Okay, remember, all things now have been given to him by my Father. And no one knows the Son except the Father, nor does anyone know the Father except for the Son. And the one who knows the Son knows the Son, it will be revealed to him. So that means now the pattern has shifted from slave master and slave. Suddenly, that's not what we are seeing. We're not seeing strong masters telling us what to do through the law, accusing us and then getting us to perform and then penalizing us. We're not going to live our lives anymore like that. We're going to live our lives to a Father who gave his life to us. And that's going to be our reference point anymore. Okay? We're going to get grace from grace. Moses gave the law, but Christ gave us grace in truth. Now watch this. Come to me, he says. So if you know the Son, if you know sonship, what is offered, the unbelief, when you talk of the Bible and you talk of unbelief and you talk of faith and you talk of sin in the Bible, the sin, and a lot of people have explained this, but they need to be a little more sophisticated with the explanation. Let's put it like that. Sophistry needs to come into this one, because we can't just say sin is unbelief, and I know many grace preachers preach that. It's a bit deeper than that. The unbelief of what? And you'll realize it's to do with rest. You'll realize it's to do with the inability to Sabbath. you'll realize it is the inability to be able to know that you inherit. It's the inability for you to know that you don't have to perform, that you can look at what is being created and allow it to serve you. Romans 8, if you know the Son, it says the creation starts responding. And all things start working together for the one who is the Son. Now he's talking about Father, Son, mirror image. Father, Son is mirror image. Not Pharaoh, slave. Not slave, master, slave. Not slave, master, slave. Not slave, master, slave. Father, Son. The pattern changed in Christ. Okay? And this guy knows one thing. The Son knows one thing. Watch what he knows. Okay? Listen carefully. So he says, so now if you know the Son, all things will be revealed to him. Does it say there? And the one to whom the Son wills will reveal it to him. So that means the model of the Son, understanding this itself, will reveal all things to him. What's up? Everything okay, guys? Yeah? Good. Yeah? Okay. So just get that. It's so important, right? Now, then he says, after he says this, okay, he says this. Son, to the one who knows the pattern of the Logos, the Son, everything will be revealed. Then he talks about the Son. When you come into the Son, when you come into Christ, this is what happens. Come to me, all you who labor and heavy laden. You understand? He's talking about the mortars and the bricks and all this kind of stuff that were put on the slaves, and they were forced and they were not paid their wage. They were asked to perform. Come on, I'm just talking to someone like that, okay? Someone not just performing, the ones who put it on others. This is the key. Come to me, all you who have labored and heavy laden, and you understand the system. Now listen carefully. And I will give you rest. In the Son you have rest. In the Son you have Sabbath. The word rest there is connected with Sabbath. I'm going to give you the Sabbath. So the gift of God is the Sabbath. Okay, listen carefully. Okay. Take my yoke upon you, and this is what I want you to underline. Learn from me. This is what they refuse to do up on the mountain when he says, I want to give you the rest. I want to give you the Sabbath. I want to give you the nation. He said, no, tell us what to do. The people at the bottom of the mountain said, tell us what to do, and we shall do it. Send us Moses back, and we shall do it. Send us Pharaoh back, and we shall do it. We don't want to enter this rest. He says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. What are you going to learn? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to learn this, that he is gentle and that he is lowly at heart. Whoa. Just stop there for a moment. That should be the wonder of Sabbath. He says, this is what I learned when I come into Jesus, that he's humble and lowly at heart. Now, where have you heard that before? You heard it somewhere. It's a characteristic of Moses. You understand that? Because that's what Moses received when his veil was taken off. Moses never refused God. It was the people. Moses went up to die. He walked up the mountain. His ego died. He was dead, just like Elijah walked up the mountain. Understand what they walked up into? They walked up into the deep, dark cloud, into the void, where their identity was destroyed, and they were humble and lowly at heart. Elijah walked up saying, I want to die. He walked up there. He died up the mountain. When he came back, he was a new man. Okay, he had met the silence, the stillness of that rest. He was running. Elijah was running from Jezebel. He had done crazy things with his excellence and all this kind of stuff. And he in fact said, God, there's only one like me. And he says, hey, come on up here. Be still, man. Forget about your excellence. Forget about your performance. Come up here. I want you to see me, experience me. I'm humble and lowly at heart. And he came up, Elijah came up. When he came back, he met the stillness of God in the deep cloud. And then he rested. His mind of 80,000 words per minute went straight, silence, quiet, boom, rest. He came back, he was a changed man. In fact, he could walk with God so much on the seventh day, like Enoch walked with God in the seventh generation. He can walk with God, seven is rest, Enoch, rest. And he walks with God, and then he's dematerialized because he's not in himself, he's not in his ego. And that is God. He says, come, learn from me, learn. Guys, this is so important. He says, this is what I want you to learn from me. This is what they couldn't learn from me. This is what they refused to learn from me. Just rest. Humble yourself. Learn from me, he says. For I am gentle and lowly in heart. And you will find rest in your what? In your bodies? No, in your mind, he says. You'll find rest in your mind. This is what Jesus is offering, the rest in your mind. Wow. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. I sit in the heavens and laugh. Join me. Don't join the world, because that world right there is a rat race. They're running up a hill, running up a mountain, just trying to be first, trampling everyone else, accusing everyone else. Okay, that's that world. And then he invites us in to a mystical, a powerful place. And that's why he said, I don't understand how it has gone so far to Buddhists and Hindus, and they do have, my God, I mean a Buddhist nation, they have awesome meditations, samadhi, vipassana. I've done them all. I love them. But guys, this God, Jesus, Christ, thousands of years, it was inculcated in their culture to meditate, to be quiet, to stop everything. So much so, they had laws written on what and how they should take that rest. That they couldn't cook, do you understand that they couldn't do any work? And there were certain things that they didn't want to get into because that will cause their mind to start moving again. And they were invited into a contemplative life. Now, I want to tell you this, it is so important, because a lot of academics, oh my God, I met them, so many, oh man, amen. Talk about me getting pissed off. That I can do. And I see all these academics who are quoting this Bible, and they don't have a contemplative life. They don't have a contemplative life. They're just 6,000 words per minute. But they don't have a life, a mystical life, where they just take a chill pill and just, you don't have to go through this Bible and split hairs on words to know this God. You don't. Just close your eyes and just be quiet. And in the stillness, you will know him. You won't come back and argue with me. You won't come and fight with me. You won't come in this, I'm talking about guys in this country, You won't go to the governments to close us down, calling us a cult. You will know God. And that's the wonder of it, because this God is gentle, is lowly in heart, okay? And he's given us this place of rest. And just to get to know him is not hard. These are letters, they will kill you. You will try to split hairs on this. But if you go into the realm of the Spirit and just take a breath, take a deep breath, which is his name, the Yod He, Waw He, and you breathe him in and you breathe him out, and then you meet him in the mystical experience. And that, you know God for sure. You won't fight with me, or you won't fight with another mystic ever again. No matter what religion he's from. There are people who are Buddhists who know this Christ. Do you know that? Because they've tapped into the deep stillness, and they're like, whoa. When I tell them about Christ, I met people who don't know Christ like you know Christ, and Christians, and I tell them about Christ, they're like, wow, is that Christ? And they're like, they don't fight. There is no fight. Why is there no fight? Because they've entered rest. Like, wow, is that Christ? Is that really what Jesus preached? Well, I've known him for years. Like, well, that's what I was telling you about. Like, wow, I'm so happy to know that. That's what they say. There's no fight. The people who fight are people who are in their egos, who are in their self. And so then they fight over doctrines, and different thoughts go through their mind, and all that can be just, hey, just enter in to the special purpose vehicle of Christ. And suddenly all this ego and stuff like that goes away, and you can tap into the mysteries of God so easily. We were made for rest. We were created for rest. Without rest, there is no new creation. Just remember this, that it was on the 8th day the man is circumcised. That means he has to go through the order of creation, and on the 7th day, of a baby, they will understand that on the 7th day, he has to enter the rest of creation. That means if he wants to now be a creator himself, just like God, it happens on the 8th day, once he's submerged and baptized into the rest. It's not just entering rest for 15 minutes and going, it's living a life in rest. It's being able to submerged in rest. And then guess what they do? They will circumcise you. And the circumcision had so many meanings, but one of the main meanings is for a man, a circumcision is I mean, come on, I don't have to tell you guys, when you say circumcision, you know what it means, right? I mean, it is a sign of the power that you have in you has been now open to God. sensitive. All power is being given to God. And more than anything, it means that you've been made sensitive to God. And you can never get sensitive to the creation, to the God, to the cosmos, unless you take a break, you rest, you just sit still and know. You cannot find the stillness unless you find the stillness in all things, even the work that you do. That doesn't mean you don't go to work. Please understand. It doesn't mean, because that was a big fight with Jesus. Because remember, Jesus seemed like he was breaking the Sabbath. It was not so. He wasn't breaking the Sabbath. He was explaining the type of work you can do when you find the stillness. Once you are circumcised in the heart, he says that you can work the works of God. He says, my Father worked. And he's talking about the work that you can do once you're sensitive. Once you're sensitive, not eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you can go back, you're circumcised, and you can go back and do the same mundane work that you did. But my God, everything seems like it's brand new. Everything touches you. You're circumcised in your heart. And now you have a right and an inheritance to the world. And everything will be excellent. Everything is a joy. You know, if you look at all the old mystics, you know, the cappuccino guy, I can't remember his name, what of cappuccino, and Teresa Avila, and you'll realize that they were doing work all day, sweeping and washing plates. They were, you know, and while they were washing plates, you can see that, what's the name of cappuccino, the guy who flies? Someone sent it to me, I can't remember his name. You know, he's washing the plates, and people used to just come to watch them work, but not the work like we think. Not the toil and the labor work. They had circumcised. They were on the 8th day. They were mature sons. It's a sign of maturity. They're washing the plates, and while washing the plates, suddenly he's levitating. Why? He's having ecstasies while working. Why? Because he entered into the sensitivity and the rest. Whoa, isn't that cool? I can't remember his name. It's really cool. I mean, that's the type of rest God is talking about. So when Jesus is talking about the people resting on the Sabbath, and they say don't heal people, he's like, no. This type of work is called avoda. I think it was called avoda. We'll get the right name. I'm going to do a series on this. That type of work, the avoda type of work, means I'm sensitive. My heart has been circumcised. Don't you understand? I got to be circumcised. I can work. I'm so sensitive to the work of God. It's a flow. I've entered into the flow of creation. And that's the 7th day. The 7th day, 6th day, man was made on the 6th day. And then on the 7th day, he was given rest. Don't you think that's really weird? Man made on the 6th day, and on the 7th day, he's given, hey, now, rest. And actually, then he puts them, it's like 7-day creations. 6th day in the spirit, in the realm of the spirit, not spirit, but realm of the spirit. And then 7th day into the creation taken on the rest day. Why is that? So that now man works from a place of rest. His whole creation comes out of rest. And you will see that on the 6th day he was created, on the 7th day he was completed. Why? Because we are called to now work in this place. The Sabbath is forever. It's not a one-time thing that we do on a Sunday or on a Saturday. It's forever. You find the stillness in everything. And if you've done a 5-day program, you know what I'm talking about. Finding the stillness, you know. Like I'm looking at a pen and I'm finding the stillness in the pen. I'm talking to Fiona, I'm finding the stillness in Fiona. I'm talking... Yeah, it's not a day. It's not Sunday. It's not stopping your factory on one day or work. It's finding the stillness, the void. When you do a meditation, you'll realize it. Mel was telling me yesterday she was meditating and she'd entered into the stillness and the void. And so she was saying after that she was driving in her car. And while she was driving, she just, I think she turned around and she saw, because she's entered the stillness. Now the whole world is magical. The creation is now responding. You are now a son of God because you're coming from stillness. Everything is responding. You're not toiling or getting things to work for you. Things are working for you. Okay, that's the rest. The rest gives you the reset where everything recognizes you because they see the stillness of the void of God inside of you. They see the dark cloud that is inside of you, the stillness, entering, asking the creation, telling the creation, I know what is inside of you. I know what is animating over you. And so she was driving this car. Now she'd done her meditation, driving her car, and she said, it was only because I was so still and I meditated before that I saw a bird carrying a little olive branch, you know. And she thought that was really strange. And then the whole creation is now responding. And it came right in front of the place where, you know, Fiona and Mel lost their dad recently. And it came right in front of the church, the last church that Mel and Dad had gone and lit candles at. And so it was, when she noticed the bird, She turned around, she noticed the church, and she was able to step out of the car, go and light a candle for Dad, and felt the presence of God and had an experience with the Spirit. How? Because she was already in the Spirit on the Lord's day. Okay? Now, this is such an important part. If we don't understand to be still and know, then we would never be able to cause the creation to respond in the right way. We can never be creators. We're just servants in a creation that is chaos. But as you understand the stillness that God is asking you to entering on Sabbath, that stillness causes you, that meditation, that contemplation that is asking you to come into, causes now the creation to animate according to who you are. And you're not working for it, but it starts working for you. Now, if you just go into Genesis, I'm going to show you a few things. How is this? Is everyone okay? Yeah, is it good?
Counterculture.
Yeah, counterculture, that's right. Yeah, it is. Like Fiona is saying, it's counterculture, isn't it? Because everyone is about, making money, and time is money, and, how do we rest, and, all this kind of stuff. And then the Jews this was such a big deal for the Jews, that the seventh day, they used to just rest all the fields. They used to rest everything. Every 7 years, they rest the whole field. Just understand, every 50 years, they release the slaves. So it's counterculture, it's counterintuitive to the financial economic way the world has been set up today, where every minute of work counts for something, doesn't it? And that's the way we are schooled, and the gurus of the world, the economic gurus of the world, said this is the way it has to be done. But hey, these are the best people in the world who understood how the Jews, they run the banking system, they run everything. They know about what they would call the commoditization of time for profit. They know what that looks like. They know how to do that. But I'll tell you, they would rest every 7 years. Every 7 days was the Sabbath. And they would even do it religiously, but still has such power to create. You know why? Just understand. On the 6th day, this is so important to understand, they understood how this thing works, just like how I started, that when we rest, we grow. In the night, we grow. When we sleep, we grow. They understood the magic in it. They understood, it's deeply rooted in them, that when there was manna, and they lived off faith and manna every single day, on the 7th day, there was no manna. You must understand it. So on the 6th day, just understand this, there is enough manna for the 7th day. Did you just get that? Something happens in the realm of chronos time when you have set your mind to find the rest and the stillness, that it increases naturally because you have found the Sabbath. You entered into Christ. You entered into the 7th day. I mean, they would say the fields, just understand, this is a crazy thing. They would say that the fields produce on the 6th year, because they know the 7th year is going to be rested. The 6th year, just understand that's crazy GMO, okay? God modification, okay? You see, on the 6th year, it produces more harvest than they've ever experienced, so that the whole 7th year could be completely full and abundant. Man, did you just see that? Now I'm going to get to something. Okay? So, just understand this. People despise rest. People see my life. My life is a life of rest. People see me the way I live my life. And they're like, how does this guy have this money? And how does he have influence? And I don't sit and plan and strategize like others. If my mind goes to plan and strategize, I stop. And I go into the void. And I break out of every pattern and cycle and go back to the place of God where He created from. And I sit there in absolute stillness. And from the place of stillness, I come out. After my rest, I come out. And then whatever I say happens. Why? Because I'm not caught up in the patterns of the world. I go back. And so people despise it. People despise people. They say, oh, that's lazy. It's not lazy. It's trust. It's faith. It's the pinnacle of your life to tell God, I trust you. It's what faith looks like. And for the Hebrew mind, faith was not like something that you did cognitively in your mind. Faith was they use the same, it's the same word, the exact same word for faith is the same word for craftsmanship. Do you understand that? Craftsmanship. That means for every day, and this is how it comes, on the seventh day is considered the day of faith. That means every single day of the week, you craft yourself till the seventh day, that is rest. That means you set yourself up, craft your faith to such a way, you fine tune it in such a way that on the seventh day, you can just rest from all your work. Man. Okay, I'm not talking of a single day. Please understand, we are in Christ now. It's parabolic by nature. I'm not talking of stopping work on one day. Please don't stop any work on any day. It doesn't work. Stop your mind. Stop your mind every day. Take no thought of what you're going to eat, drink, and wear, and see whether you won't be a more powerful creator because you're setting things in order according to God. Okay, so you see in the first day, and so God said, let there be, so he says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the earth, and the Spirit of God hovered on the face of the waters. Okay, so now you see the void, the stillness. In the beginning, God created the stillness. There's nothing else. Everything now is animated. Then fire is brought, wind is brought, earth is brought, elements. One day I'll do the baptisms of the elements. It's going to be awesome when I do it. Once you understand the baptism of the element, things change in your life. You have control of your emotions, your authorities, everything comes with the baptism of the elements. We'll go there. There are 4 baptisms in the Bible of the elements. Seed falls in the ground and dies. They're just bonus. Okay, bonus, a little bonus for you. Okay, seed falls to the ground and die, baptism of the earth. Water, baptism, you know that, baptism of water. Wind, baptism of wind. Fire, baptism of fire. You see, you have to immerse yourself in those elements, and we'll go there anyway. But before that, you need to know the void. I can get there one day if you can get to know the stillness in everything. Everything changes. And so God said, let the firmament be in the midst of the waters and all this. And then he looked at it and he said, well, that was good. And then he goes on like this and says, it was good, it was good, it was good. I want you to see where we're going. Verse 12, and the earth brought forth grass and herbs and yields according to its kind, and the trees that yield fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God saw it, and it was good. Just get this out. Do you know how many times he says it is good? He creates the world and he says it's good, and every Christian looks at the world and says it's wicked. Think about that. We are suspicious. There is a veil that blocks us from seeing the goodness in all the elements in the world. We can't trust, can we? We can't trust the medicine to work, can we? There's a veil. We need to scandalize it. We can't trust the businessman to give us the money, can we? We can't trust the system, can we? We can't trust all kinds of things, can we? Look, there's nothing in this world that is going to be made by man that is going to be good. Okay, man makes things. Man makes flawed things. What makes it good is the God in it. And when you can see that and say, this is going to be good, something shifts. The molecular structure of everything changes. That is called the communion. It's the incarnation of the Spirit with the cosmos. And then it says it is good. He says all things, he says nothing should be, in Timothy he says everything should be sanctified by the word of God and prayer. That means you have the power as a life-giving Spirit to call out the good in the world. God looks at it and he says it was good, it was good, it was good. Now listen carefully. Verse 14. God said, let there be light in the firmament and heavens and all that, and goes on, okay. And then verse 18, and the one light will rule over the day, one night over the night. One light over the night, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. You see there? So the evening and the morning were the 4th day. So again, I'm trying to show you that God says it is good, it is good, it is good. What am I trying to do here? I'm trying to show you that when he gets to the 7th day, okay, when he gets to the 7th day, just before the 6th day, I'm going to read the 6th day to you. Okay, and it says in verse 7, God saw everything that he had made, not just man. That's what was told to you, I know, at Sunday school sometime. But he looked at everything he made. 1st day, 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day, 5th day, sixth day, and man, and creation, and dogs, and dolphins, and creepy crawlies, and insects, and cockroaches, and mosquitoes, and all that he created. Yes, and he said, it is very good. Stop there for a moment. It is very good. Do I kill my mosquitoes? I do. Will there be a place where the mosquitoes will not bite me? I'm believing there would be. Do I have to still kill my mosquitoes? I still do. Okay, Fiona is like, heck yeah. Right? Do we kill our cockroaches? Yes. We've tried talking to them a bit. But I'm telling you, it's getting better.
We don't kill spiders.
Yeah. We don't kill spiders because we've seen them and they are good.
They're not poisonous.
Okay? But just understand what I'm saying. They are good. Do I still kill my snakes in the garden? Yes, I do. But they are good. Why am I telling you this? Because the more the veil of the flesh, the partition of the flesh goes away, they will give out the best that they can be. Interesting. Very interesting. Because you see, it's good, it's good. He looked at everything and said it's very good. Okay? It's very good. Okay? And then, now, in the very goodness, he creates man. Okay? And then, once he creates man, the seventh day is not a part of his creation. It's like the seventh day he just sees from his works. Okay, so he doesn't say there is morning or evening or anything like that. He goes, and Chronos disappeared and he entered into Kairos, eternity. You see, and that's the seventh day. Thus the heavens and the earth, and thus the heaven and the earth, chapter 2, and the host of them were finished. Finished, tetelestai, on the cross. Remember that? Wow. Okay, there you go. Okay, it is finished. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work. Listen carefully that he had done. So look how many times he says this. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. And God blessed the seventh day. Wow. And sanctified it, hallowed it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. I'm going to stop there for a moment. Look how many times it says he rested, he created, he rested, he's rested, he's created. Okay, now I'm just going to tell you something. Okay, God created everything. And he said it was really good. He created man and he said it was good. And then he rested. Why? Why did he rest on the seventh day? Because now everything was created. God is at rest, he says. He is at rest. Because he's made everything and it's good. In fact, it is very good. And the only way we will know to be able to now move and create and take this to the next level, because now God had done his work, but he had made man, and man is the conduit. And this is the beauty. And if you look at the old Hebrew text, you'll understand it's heaven now engaging earth. But now for earth to engage heaven, it needs the stillness. It needs a God. It needs the void again. And if you understand that, and the bridge between that is you. You are the one. Now from the seventh day, the sixth day, everything good, made in order. On the seventh day, we have come back into void, stillness. And now out of the stillness, man starts his creation. Do you understand that? And that is why the stillness, we come back to the stillness on the seventh day. Everything back again, no more patterns, because now we're going to start creating. And so man now starts his creation after the seventh day. And that's why circumcision means you are now mature, you are sensitive, just like God. Your heart has been circumcised. Now you have the power to create if you have understood the seventh day. Okay? And that's the wonder of this thing. And if you look at Hebrews, we'll stop with, we'll finish off with Hebrews 2 and 3, and just show you a few things that will really blow you away. This series is going to be really good. It will cause you to have a contemplative life. You cannot engage the things of God. The letter just kills you unless you have a contemplative life. And the contemplative life is a life that just witnesses everything. It's not jumping into things. It's not being in your mind. It's not getting into patterns and cycles. It's not getting on the bus, but watching the bus. You understand? You're at the bus and you're watching the bus. You're not getting into the bus. You're watching, here's a bus here, here's a bus here, here's it going. You're watching the world. You're a witness to the world. And you're able to create because you're still. I remember Prophet Kobus, when his son died, it was such a powerful message. And he's looking at his son, and his mind is racing. And the Lord said, Kobus, I can only come into you if you're still. He says, I can recreate him from the dust from the ground. I can bring him back to life. But you will have to go back into that stillness, that void, no thoughts. And when you go into that stillness, my spirit will come upon you. When it comes upon you, you'll have the power to create again. So he had to enter into the Sabbath. Looking at his son, dead, Kobus van Rensburg entered into the void, just like Elijah did. He saw that God was not in the elements, he was not in the fire, he was not, nothing of these can contain. He is in there, but they can't contain him. He had to step back into the void, and suddenly the bridge now, not between heaven and earth, but between earth and heaven, was open, and the void opened up, and the Spirit could enter into that void again, hover over that void, and bring the elements of the creation back in, and suddenly Petrus was back into life. Do you understand that? That's how we all create. We have to enter back into the stillness. Without that, without the Sabbath, without the rest, we are caught up in the cycles and the patterns of death and sin and in the world. And so, Hebrews talks about it like this. Hebrews, we're talking of angels, we're talking of creation, Hebrews 1, Hebrews 2, and then we're talking about this. Listen carefully. Verse 2, chapter 3, verse 2. He was faithful, who was faithful to him who appointed him, as Moses also was faithful in all his house. For this one had been counted worthy of more glory than Moses. This one is Jesus. Inasmuch as he who built the house has more honor than the house. He's talking of Moses and Jesus. For every house is built, see, creation is built by someone. But he who builds all things is God. And Moses indeed was faithful in all his house. But Moses, it says here, was a servant. Remember, I started off this message saying the difference between father and son and slave master and servant. Did you just get what I said? And I said Jesus is asking you to enter into a rest. What is that rest? It is the rest that he tells Peter. On this revelation, I can build my house. Do you understand that? This is the house. What is that house? In my Father's house, there are many mansions. But I don't want you to enter into Moses' house. Because Moses' house is of a servant. He'll constantly, is a slave master and slave. Same thing. They're constantly in toil and labor. They did not learn from me. They died in the wilderness. They could not enter the promised land. I am asking you to enter into the house of the Son. In fact, the house of the chilled Son. That's what I like to call it. It's a contradiction, but it's a chilled Son. Okay? Just enter into me. I will give you rest. I'm lowly, I'm humble. Do you understand that? I'm not a slave master. I want you to enter into me. I don't accuse. I don't ask you to perform. Okay? And so Moses was a servant in his house, and he did well, it says. But Christ, verse 6, is a son over his own house. His own house, he created, whose house we are, if we hold fast our confidence. That word confidence is the language of the free. Whoa. You see that? There's a condition. We can be in that house. Joshua represented that house because he was after Moses. He entered in. Joshua stopped the sun. He had authority over the elements. The same name, Joshua, is Jesus. Same thing. Do you understand that? But this house, there's an if condition, and you can enter in if you have a language of the free. Just I'm going to submit to you. How do you deal with your employers? How do you deal with the people around you? How do you deal with your husband? How do you deal with your wife? Are you a slave master to them? Are you a slave? Are you living in that house, the Moses' house, accusing, judging, getting people to perform? Does performance thrill you? Does people doing their work for you excellently, does that cause them to have favor? Do your eyes move to them because you see excellence, performance? Or do your eyes move to them because you have compassion and you see potential? There's a huge difference. There's a huge difference between these two houses. One eats from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, good, evil, good, evil, good, bad, good, bad. One is at rest. You'll realize that when things go wrong, do you get anxious? Do you get worried? Why does that happen? Because of the house you live in. That house you live in is a house of anxiety and worry. Everything is a problem, everything is a toil, everything is a labor. God says, enter into my house. But here, this house is lowly, it's humble, it's rest. I will give you this rest. It's there in this house. But I can tell you, but every time you work, every time you perform, every time you're good at what you do, guess what? Your head becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and it fits into the other house. And suddenly, you are a rat on your own wheel, but you don't understand. You created your wheel. Everyone is dancing according to your tune, but guess what? Who's dancing the best? You are. Because you are the best dancer on that dance floor. Why? Because you want to be. You want to be. You want it with all your heart, with all your might. You want it. And you get it. You see, I've been there, man. I am brilliant at what I do. Just naturally very good. I can fight well. I can think well. I can do everything well. God had blessed me when I was young. My biggest problem in my life was that I was good. It was the biggest problem. That I was very, very good at what I did. And therefore, for me, everyone now had to meet my standard. Everyone had to dance according to what I want. Till I told you what happened to me. For me, sanity was a thin line for me to hold on to it. And I realized, my God, my only peace is the house of the sun. The house of the sun. And when I entered in, I enter in there every day of my life. I enter into that rest. I come out of judging and patterns of knowledge of good and evil. And I live in that house because I can tell you, my God has a plan for us. But God can only give us the promised land if we are at rest. Otherwise, you won't get the work of your hand and it won't last long. The work of your hand won't last long. And so, Sabbath was inculcated in their life. It was a part of their culture. At least traditionally, every Sunday or Saturday, they had to say, take a break, stop thinking. This is a day you would meditate, you will not even think of anything. You will not pick your phone up, you will not do anything. I'm just trying to tell you, you don't have to do any of those things. I can be on Facebook, but I can find a stillness on Facebook. Okay, and I know a lot of people say, but I can do that as well. Okay, you must understand my life. I'm a mystic. I know these things very well. I know whether that's possible or not. Okay, for me to even get there took me years. This doesn't happen in a year. It doesn't happen in a week. It doesn't happen in a day. This will take you years to develop stillness. You accumulate stillness. You start accumulating. And the person who accumulates stillness, you will know at once. When you meet them, they can be whatever faith or whatever religion. You see them, you'll know them and say, this guy, there's something about him, there's stillness. He's calm. He'll be able to bring a peace and equilibrium during times of craziness. And there's no fear because you're already dead. When you understand this stuff, you're already dead. Nothing can kill you. Nothing can kill your reputation. Nothing can kill anything of you. So there's no performance. You're dead. There's no fear of man. You're actually redeemed. You're delivered. You're free. Man, so good. I think we're done with this one. But if you go into Joshua, right there in Hebrews 3, we're talking about the house of the sun. And then he talks, don't harden your heart. That means get your heart sensitive. Circumcise your heart. Be sensitive again. And then he says, chapter 4 says it like this. Therefore, since a promise remains of entering his rest, let us fear lest any of you seem to have come short of it. For indeed the gospel was also preached to them, but they did not profit from it. So he says, I swore in my wrath that they will not enter my rest. And I like this one here, and we close with this, okay? And it says it here. For if Joshua had given them rest, then he would not afterwards have spoken of another day. There remains therefore rest for the people of God. For he who has entered that rest, like himself, for he who has entered his rest has himself also ceased from his works as God did from his. Now why is that? Because the verse just before that says that from the foundations of the world, God had finished His work. We'll just go into verse 4. For He has spoken in a certain place of the seventh day. Remember, we just said this in this way. And that God rested on the seventh day from all His works. And again in this place, they shall not enter my rest. There is a rest for the people of God, He says. So He says, on the seventh day, God rested. Now I'm going to close it and you'll get it. Just understand this. Did God rest? Here it is. Here's the big one. Now you'll get it. Did God rest because He was tired? Did God rest because He was tired from His works? No. God was not tired. He says He doesn't slumber, He doesn't sleep. God is not tired. You know why God rested from His work? And this will blow you away and it will take you to the next season of your life. Just properly, and you've done 5-day program, you'll go in like this. God rested from His work because He trusted His work. Because He said, it is good, 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 it is very good. He trusted His work. He created man and all He wanted man to do. And here is the sin, and this is the disobedience of unbelief. He wanted man to know that man was ordained to be His son. Ordained, not His son as yet, ordained to be His son. How He would know that man was ready for that maturity of circumcision on the 8th day, how He would know that was if he had enjoyed and entered the rest and lived his life of the stillness of that rest. How he would know was when man now had understood the Sabbath. The Sabbath is the testing to know whether you're a son. Whoa. Do you understand? The other tree is the tree of performance, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The other tree is the tree of rest and life. And that's where Jesus says, you can't do anything unless you abide in the tree. The other tree is just abiding. The other tree is working. They chose the toil, the labor tree. They chose to build up towards heavens. God did not rest, ladies and gentlemen, because he was tired. Here it is again. God rested because he trusted his creation to be good. I'm going to say it again. Because of that, on the seventh day, God decided that he's not going to meddle with what he has created. Whoa, stop for a moment. A farmer takes a seed, he drops it to the ground. He doesn't go dig it up again. He trusts the way the seed works. The cosmos and the creation has been made by God. Everything is reconciled. God is in Christ now, reconciling the world. The whole creation responds. A person who knows the Sabbath and sonship knows that the creation is good, and guess what? It will start responding to you. You don't have to control it. You don't have to manipulate it. You get into what is known as the river or the flow. Everything, all things start working together when you don't meddle with it. You're able to stay very still, meditate, be quiet, not speak, not control, not manipulate, not do anything. Just be in complete trust with God. And suddenly, that goodness, that godness in the creation starts coming out and starts working on your behalf because it recognizes the stillness inside of you. The stillness is the Spirit. And Kobus was able to raise his son back into life. You will be able to create the world again. The creation will be reconciled. The elements will work with you. That's what happened to Elijah. He realized nothing needs to work against you. Everything can work with you when you understand the Sabbath. God rested because he trusted his work was good. Are you sick today? Are you taking medicine today? Are you going to hospital today? Have you got a new doctor today? What is it? Trust that it's going to work. Just trust. The creation is good no matter what it is. Oh my God, they're going to give us a vaccine. We're going to touch the vaccine. I don't want to take the vaccine either. If I had an option not to take the vaccine, I won't take the vaccine. But guess what? If I'm forced to take the vaccine, who cares, man? The rest and the peace is inside of me. The vaccine that is bad will become good for me. Because the creation is good as I call it out to be. What I see, I get. I am the mirror image of what I'm creating. Okay, I think we've done well. This is going to be an awesome, awesome time. The Sabbath is coming on you in Jesus' name. Bless you.